This is Hampley III from Spiritual Combatants, where we're training soldiers for Christ. I want to thank you for joining me for another Finance Friday message. This is a continuation of our series on improving your finances. And so this is step number 2. And so in step number 2, we're going to be talking about contentment. And so everything that I'm going over throughout this series is from a book that I wrote called Hi-Fi Finances. So Hi-Fi Finances, as you can tell, is not a big book, but this book has some great information in there to help you improve your financial situation. And so if you want a copy of that book and you want to follow along, because I do provide some homework, then go to our website, spiritualcombatants.com, click on the books link. And so when you see the book, just click on the image and you'll be able to download a free PDF today, right now, or you can also purchase a hard copy or an ebook as well. And so last week, I went over in the step 1, I talked about how to get to your point B by first knowing your point A, and then I also talked about the news reporting. And so I kind of went over some of the things to discover what type of spender you are, kind of your childhood spending, just to kind of give you an overview of the type of financial habits that you have, the ones that carried over into adulthood, as well as that news reporting, which are the needs, everything in between, wants and savings. It's just going through your last month as far as what you've been doing in the categories or percentages, or how much you put toward each of those areas. And so if you've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to build on top of that and talk about contentment. And contentment is probably one of the most important messages that I will give in this entire series, because most of us cannot reach our financial goals and get to that point B because we're not content and we don't say no. And I do have a video about that, about the one word to improve your financial future or your finances. And so that one, I'll kind of have a link going up for that here, so you can check out that video as well. And then, but continue in this video and check out the one that we had before on step 1, talking about getting to point B by knowing your point A. So let's get into this video now about contentment. I'm going to use 6 steps. So in step number 1, or point number 1, what I want you to know is that you are a means to make others rich. And we live in a capitalist society. And so capitalism, let me define it for you, is an economic system where private entities own the factors of production. The 4 factors are entrepreneurship, capital goods, natural resources, and labor. And so people use these products and services to make a profit. And we see that going on all around us. And I want you to understand that. People want to are finding ways to take the money out of your pocket and to put it into theirs. And so that's our process of capitalism. And so in step number 2 is that to make money or to make profit from their sales and the goods and services that they have, what they want to do is create a system of discontent, desire, competition, and envy. And so you see this through commercials, magazines. We have like the ideal for the American dream. You're talking about also holidays. You know, all these things are used to spend money, for you to spend money and you to provide them with profits. And we're taught this type of stuff from the earliest ages. We're taught that you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, your house isn't big enough, you need a nicer car, you need to have the best Christmas ever, you need to go on a better vacation, you need to go on more vacations. We're taught about all these different holidays, Valentine's Day, Easter, you're talking about 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving. All these things are used to generate wealth, generate profits for somebody else. You to spend, but giving money to another company and to another entity. And these things are provided for you to do just that. And so number 3, and the third point, when you understand that, when we have this system and this environment of capitalism and what we've been doing to spend money, and we're going along with the different sales that's going on and the holidays, all these things are used, or we use them in number 3. We buy these things to satisfy our discontent, our envy, and our desire, but we find that those things truly never satisfy. We go on a vacation, and it seems like soon as we sit down back at the office and get to our desk, that whole vacation seems like it's wiped away. The car that you bought no longer satisfies. The clothes that you buy, the 10th pair of black shoes that you own don't seem to satisfy satisfy anymore, so you go out to buy another one. You know, all these different things that we're using, it's like this continual cycle that we spin to try to please ourselves, to be happy, to try to meet that desire that we're not enough. All those different things, keeping up with the Joneses, making sure that we have better or more than what someone else has. All those things generate wealth for someone else, but it's causing us to move in this continual cycle over and over again. But we never, if you've noticed, you've never found true happiness by buying stuff. So we continue to go through this issue where we're trying to satisfy this discontent. But in number 4, in order for us to break this cycle, we have to learn how to be content. So the definition of contentment, I really like this definition, is to accept something as adequate despite wanting more or better. So when you're content, there's all these commercials going on, but you say, you know what I have is enough. So it doesn't mean that you're gonna, or even what I'm talking about in our videos, it doesn't mean that you're gonna never have a desire to ever buy anything, or you will never gonna want anything. You may want or desire these different things, but in contentment, you're going to accept as adequate what I already have. And so you won't go out and buy the 10th pair of black shoes or the 5th red jacket that you already have. It just has some bedazzle on the back or something. Or you're not going to do or spend certain monies because you say, you know what? I'm good. What I have is enough. My TV works just fine. I don't need another one. Everything is good. And so even though in the desire, you say, hey, I want this, but I'm going to accept that what I have is adequate for me enough. And so what we do to find contentment is that we have to learn how to really balance and how to keep our emotions in check. And so what we do here, going back to this definition, accepting something is adequate despite wanting something more or better, then when I'm accepting that, that means my emotions are not all drawn out into a frenzy. And so in the book, I provide this example about when I wanted to buy a TV. And so probably about 2007, 2008, I bought a television, 56-inch TV, just before the flat screens came out. And so I really didn't like the flat screens at the time, so I wanted to get me a nice boxy 56-inch. I was like, okay, good, got this 56-inch. And so I've had this 56-inch literally since last year. For 10 years, I've owned it. If the light goes out in it, replace the bulb, keep pushing. But then probably about 3 years ago, I had this desire to buy another TV. I start walking through Walmart and I see this TV. I'm like, wow, I can buy a 60-inch, it's flatter. It's only like $1,000. Oh man, I really want it. Now, knowing that I hardly watch the television as it is, it was downstairs in our living room. I never watched it unless we had friends over or maybe if I was cooking, but which I wasn't always watching TV. Normally when I was downstairs, I was listening to music. And so I never was really using it, but I had this desire to buy something new. And so there came a time, man, I was struggling. I'd be walking through the store. You know how you walk through the store and you go to the electronics section or whatever you're looking for. And now with TVs in Walmart, you can't even walk through the front door. Sometimes they'll have TVs like right there in front of you. And so I'm like, oh man, my emotions are heightening up. I'm talking to my wife about it, like I really want a TV, and I drive myself into this frenzy. But I had to use these several questions that I'm about to give you to really rationalize if I really need to make this purchase. And so these are the questions I asked because I had to fight through my emotions. So I said, is this something I want or need? How would this purchase benefit me or my family? Do I have enough money to pay for this item now? And if not, how am I planning to pay for it? Will this purchase help or hurt my family's financial standing or our goals? Is this purchase absolutely necessary for my family's current needs? Do I own something similar? And if so, why or how would this item be any different? And what's wrong with what I already own? And if I want to purchase this item to solve a problem I'm facing, is there a cheaper way to accomplish the same result? And so I will go through these questions and I'll be like, okay, I'm good. And then one day I'll walk back into Walmart. And as soon as I see the TV, it's like, oh my TV. And I go right back to the same thing, and I got to work through these questions. It came down to a point where I had to just stop going to Walmart for a couple months. My wife, I say, look, can you just go to Walmart and I'm just going to stay behind because I need to get my mind right. And I really want this TV, and there is no good reason why I should buy this TV other than I want it. That was it. That was it. It just came, as I walked through those questions, it just came down to I want it. And I didn't need to have it, and what I had already was enough. And so I had to kind of, and I'll get into protecting you from you in a couple other videos, probably the next video. But what I had to do was keep myself from Walmart. I said, okay, look, I know I'm not strong enough to keep saying no, or it's keep driving me crazy for this while. So I need to really hone myself, really get my emotions under control until I can walk in the store and say, you know what, I know that's a good deal, or it may not even be a good deal, or I want something, but I'm going to accept the boxy 56-inch TV that I have as adequate, though I want something else. And so nowadays, I can go in the store, and it took me a minute to try and kind of get to that place, but I can walk in Walmart with no problem. Like, oh man, that's a good deal on a TV, but I know that that's not something that I need, and I'm very content with what I already have. And so that's kind of the process that I have to work through. And it's not just, as I just explained, it's not a one-time deal. Sometimes I got to work through that continually over and over again to make sure that I'm not being over emotional, and I'm making sure that I'm being rational in my decision. So let's go into number 6. And so number 6 is the benefits of being content. Number 1, sales, commercials, and ads don't drive you into a frenzy. Just because someone says it's Black Friday, I'm not going crazy and running to the store. Just because someone says there's a 30% off sale, I'm not running down to the store. I'm not just like, just wilding out. If I go to a sale, it's because there's something that I may need, or that I want to legitimately replace because I've moved through my questions and I said, okay, this is something that that I may need to purchase. And so those questions that I just talked about are in the book, High Five Finances. So you can download the book and check out those questions today. So I just want to make sure I went over that. So now those sales don't kind of drive me into frenzy because I'm content with what I have. So I see Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas sales, Easter, whatever sales is going on. I'm not just being overly hyped up, feeling like I need to spend my money, taking my money out of my pocket and putting it in somebody else's. I'm like, no. Number 2 is that I understand that my money can be used for other things, just like with the TV. Right now I have a car, and the same thing, I have a truck, but I want to buy a second truck. And not a second truck, but a second, like a smaller car, or I even thought about buying another muscle car, sports car. But the reason why I don't is because I think about what I'm using the money for, and then what that money's going to go to is going to go toward another car. But I paid off my cars probably almost 3 years ago, so all my cars are paid off, and I've been able to use that money for investments and for savings, and also buying a house. And so all those things, that money, I'm thinking about that money. I'm like, well, if I go out and buy a car, yeah, I may have a good time, but at the same time, that money that I'm using now to build wealth is now going to be used for something that depreciates. So I'm good with what I have. Even though I may want a car, I want another truck, or I want another muscle car, or I want a smaller car, have a second car, what I have is good enough because I understand where my money is. I only have a certain amount of money, so I don't have a second job. So what I have, I'm going to use to the best of my ability to be able to reach my financial goals. So there may come a time when I do need another car, where I've used my car, I've taken good care of it, I'll get into that in a second, and so I need another car, but that may come at a later date, but it's already been, if it's another 10 years from now, then I'll buy another car. But for those years, I've had all that time to use that money that I would have put on buying a car toward investing, toward entrepreneurship, toward giving to others and investing in other people's point B to help them reach their goals and dreams. So I have that opportunity to use that money for something else. And so I realize that. So whenever I think about I want another car, I'm like, nah. First thing I think about is the car note. I'm like, no, I'm good. Because I know I can use my money for something else other than something that depreciates. So that's number 2. So then the last thing is when I'm content, one of the benefits is that I'm going to take care of what I have. And so when I'm saying, okay, what I have, I accept as adequate, what I have is good to go, even though I want something else, then I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna make sure that this lasts. I'm gonna use the resources that I have to take care of my car. I get regular maintenance on my car. I vacuum it out. I don't have like trash and clothes and wrappers all over the car. I make sure that everything is always pristine. As regular maintenance, then my truck, I have a Tundra. So Tundras are absolutely notorious for lasting over 200,000 miles. And right now, I have about 126. I have 126,000 miles on it. I take very good care of it. My wife, we take very good care of her car as well as my daughter's car. So we want them to last. And so I want to get to this place where I'm content, where I can reach 200,000 miles on my cars. And then maybe I'll do an assessment and see where we're at from there. It may take me another 5 or 6 years to get to 200,000 miles. But until that time, I'm going to take good care of what I own. And so the same thing goes with shoes, if I have any headphones, anything like that. I'm gonna try to take the best care that I can of those items so that they will last longer, so that I don't just have to run out and go buy something else because I misuse what I had. Because if I'm being content, I want to make sure it can last longer. So I just get my money's worth out of it. So once I use it up and I get my money's worth, then I'll go out and buy something else. But I do that knowing that, okay, I took good care of it. I got my money's worth out of it. I'm content. I was content with what I had. Let me go out and replace it, because I'm replacing with something that's broke down, not that I just want to add another headphone, another pair of shoes that I already have the same color of, but I'm making sure that my purchases are warranted because I rationalized it, I went through my questions, and it's not based on my emotions because I've been content this whole time. So that was the last one. All right, so homework. So for this week, for your homework, what I want you to do first is I want you to check out all the commercials, the ads that you see out there, and I want you to really think about what they're trying to get you to do. There's some commercials you watch that make absolutely no sense at all. And I mean, you'll listen to it, you're like, you're doing the same thing that they're doing. And you'll see the envy and the comparisons and trying to one-up people and the keeping up with the Joneses. You'll see all of that. So I really want you to take that step back, and how it tells you that you're not enough and you need more, you need to go on this vacation, and you need to spend money. So I just want you to see that. Just take a time just to watch the videos, not just be laughing about what they're talking about or if they're entertaining. I want you to see what they're saying, that underlining thing that they're saying, that you're not good enough. You need to spend more money. Your desire is to meet this dream or to have this goal, and how they're trying to find a way to take your money out of your pocket and give it to them. So that's the first thing that I want you to do. Second, I want you to look over your homework from last week. And this is the wants and everything in between. That part when I talk about the news reporting. And so what I want you to ask yourself is, how has the discontent that you had, the envy, keeping up with the Joneses, the desires, the one-upmanship, whatever that is, how has all those things kept you from reaching your financial goal and getting to that point B? And so I want to ask you that. Now, third, I want to ask you, in what ways do you need to exercise contentment in those areas? And really think about, what you normally do. If you always go to every Black Friday sale and you spend a lot of money on things that you really don't need, then I really want you to assess that. Really take an inventory of yourself. This isn't something that you have to share with anybody. It's just something that, hey, I'm just keeping these things to myself. I'm making a mental note. Maybe you need to write some things down. Just say, okay, this is how I can exercise greater contentment, to say, okay, what I have is enough. All right. So then lastly, I want you to ask yourself, how can contentment help you spend less and reach your financial goals? And that's what this is all about. But before you get to those financial goals, because if you worked on your homework last week, or even if you watched the video, you thought about or wrote down your point B, and you wrote down some of those short-term and those long-term goals. And so how can contentment help you reach those financial goals, or whatever goal you have as financial, is, education, is preparing for a house, or, you want to have a new addition to your family, whatever that may be. How can contentment help you reach your goals? Because if you say yes in one area, you're saying no in another. And if you're saying no in another area, you're saying yes in another. So how can you use contentment to help you reach your financial goals? So I thank you for joining me on this message talking about contentment. Check out my other videos my other video about improving your finances. And if there's anything that we can do to help you further, shoot us an email or hit us up on the comments, because we want to help you improve your financial goals. Because I'm not a financial guru or any type of professional counselor. I'm just kind of sharing my own personal information. So if you need to find a financial counselor, then we encourage you to do so. And if there's any way that we can help you do that, please hit us up, and we'll continue to conversate with you and see how we can best assist you in helping to reach your financial goals. So follow us on YouTube. Continue to follow us with the book. Check out, do the homework, and then check us out next week when we go into protecting you from you. So until the next time, may God bless you abundantly. God bless.